Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Alec, and I'm going to be talking to you about principal component analysis today. We're going to be focusing mainly on concepts here, so feel free to explore the material a little bit more if you want more mathematical rigor. So to start off, I'd like to thank the UCLA Computational Medicine Department for supporting Big Bio and giving us funding to do these modules. So to start this off, we're going to talk a little bit about what dimensionality reduction is. And so to introduce that, I'm going to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, Avengers Endgame. So Avengers Endgame is part of something called the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the idea there is that you have a bunch of movies that kind of all intertwine. And the special thing about Avengers Endgame is that it's kind of the culmination of 10 years of films. So it's a lot of films that kind of contribute to this. And so as a super fan, I went and watched this at midnight, but a lot of my buddies didn't. And so to truly understand this and kind of understand all the details and the inside jokes of this, you'd have to watch the other 21 movies that came before this. And so that's a lot of movies, right? It's many hours to watch, and a lot of people don't have the time for that. So you could always watch these in preparation for the film, but not a lot of people have that kind of time. So what you might do instead is a couple of different approaches. So one thing you could do is just select some of the movies to watch. Another thing you could do is read some sort of like text summaries. So it could be an article or some plot synopses. Or you can watch some other video that's like an analysis of everything you need to know, or some sort of recap video. And so these are all kinds of forms of dimensionality reduction. And one key thing that you'll take away from this is that each of these kinds of strategies will pick up on certain things in the stories. So they'll pick up on things like major plot points or character development. And these are things that are not necessarily explicitly shown in the movies, but they'll be picked up by a lot of these summaries and recap videos. But the other important thing to note is that doing these things will capture the main ideas of these movies, but you're going to lose a lot of these details. And for some people that might be okay, because as long as you have the main details, you can still understand what's going on with the movie, but you'll maybe lose some of those tiny things that a lot of the fans will notice, or the inside jokes and things like that. So this kind of motivates the idea of dimensionality reduction. So in this kind of case, we have these ideas of movies being data, but data in general can be very complex and high dimensional. And so high dimensional in this setting just means that you have a lot of things to consider. So in our kind of toy example that we had with the movies, it's just that we have a lot of movies to consider. And so one of the goals of dimensionality reduction is to try and find a more compact representation of the data. So we have to consider less variables. And what are some of the ways that dimensionality reduction can help us downstream? So one way is that it can help us visualize things, and it can also help us discover hidden patterns that we may not easily notice by ourselves. It can be used for pre-processing for something later on that we want to do or analyze. It can be used for noise removal and extracting the main signals that we're interested in. And it can also be used for decreasing computation, because we'll be working on smaller objects or more compact objects. And so how do we actually perform dimensionality reduction? So there are a variety of techniques out there that can be used for dimensionality reduction. So the one that we'll be focusing on today is called principal component analysis, or PCA for short. There are some other ones out there, but each of them kind of has their own kind of purposes and scenarios that they're better. But today we're going to be focusing on principal component analysis, or PCA.